Imagine one day finding an ancient letter, kept for centuries, revealing secrets capable of changing everything you know about your faith. Now imagine not one, but hundreds of such letters, written by men who laid the foundation of what we believe today. Men who not only preserved the apostles' faith, but confronted emperors, philosophers, and heretics to defend each truth we profess in our creed. This is the extraordinary story of the Church Fathers, and what you will discover in the next few minutes may completely transform your understanding of Christianity. Chapter 1. What really happened after the apostles' death. When the last apostle closed his eyes, the Christian world found itself in a unique moment, bereft of direct witnesses and surrounded by an empire that pursued them relentlessly. The Christian communities, once personally guided by Jesus' disciples, now faced the oncoming storms alone. Amid the chaos of Roman persecutions, dissenting voices arose, threatening to fragment the emerging faith. The Gnostics, with their secret gospels and esoteric doctrines, promised exclusive knowledge for a chosen few. Marcion, a wealthy shipowner, even created his own version of the scriptures, omitting anything he deemed too Jewish. The synagogues, which once served as a bridge between Jews and Christians, now shut their doors to followers of the Nazarene. Tensions grew as rabbis modified their daily prayers to include curses against the Nazarenes, forcing a definitive split between the two religions. In Alexandria, pagan philosophers packed their academies with theories challenging Christian faith. Celsus authored the first anti-Christian treatise, The True Doctrine, mocking the idea of God becoming man and questioning the resurrection. It was in this environment that extraordinary men emerged, educated in the best schools of the empire, but deeply rooted in apostolic tradition. They were not simple fishermen like the first apostles, but intellectuals prepared to engage with the culture of their time. The most fascinating aspect is that these men did not have a manual to guide them. Each challenge was new. Each response had to be crafted carefully. They were, quite literally, building the theological foundations upon which we still rely. While some hid in catacombs, others faced emperors and philosophers in public debates, risking not only their reputations but their very lives. Chapter 2. The Secret Weapons of the Church Fathers. The first secret of these extraordinary men was mastering the very art used by their adversaries. Justin Martyr, before his conversion, had studied all the philosophical schools of his time, from the Stoics to the Pythagoreans. When he finally found Christianity, he didn't abandon philosophy. He transformed it into a powerful weapon in the service of truth. In the streets of Athens, Alexandria, and Rome, they did something revolutionary. Instead of rejecting Greco-Roman culture, they used Plato and Aristotle to explain Christ. Clement of Alexandria even stated that Greek philosophy had been a pedagogue that prepared the Gentiles to receive the gospel, just as the law prepared the Jews. Their libraries held not only scriptures but works on medicine, astronomy, and mathematics. Basil of Caesarea, for example, studied in Athens alongside the future emperor Julian the Apostate. His knowledge was so vast that he could debate topics ranging from the nature of the stars to the anatomy of bees. Rhetoric, an art highly valued by the Romans, became an evangelizing tool in the hands of these masters. John Chrysostom, golden mouth, filled the churches of Constantinople with his electrifying eloquence. His homilies were so impactful that scribes struggled to record them amidst the applause of the crowd. But perhaps their most powerful weapon was something few expected: poetry. Ephraim, the Syrian, composed theological hymns so beautiful and profound that they are still sung in Eastern churches today. He understood that the truths of faith penetrated more deeply when wrapped in melody and poetry. These intellectual giants, however, never lost sight of the fact that their knowledge was meant to serve faith. Augustine, after his conversion, lamented taking so long to realize that all the wisdom of the world is empty if it does not lead us to God. It was precisely this combination of fervent faith and sharp intellect that prepared them for the most decisive battles in Christian history. Chapter 3. The Rebellious Son Who Became a Saint. In the bustling streets of Carthage, a brilliant young man wasted his talent on rhetoric with empty speeches and a life of pleasure. Augustine, son of Monica, a devout Christian and a pagan father, embodied the very conflict of his time, torn between ancient wisdom and the emerging truth of Christianity. In Milan, while his mother shed tears in prayer, Augustine found in Ambrose something he had never seen before, an intellectual of the highest caliber, who was also a man of deep faith. It was common to find Ambrose in his library, reading in silence, a habit so unusual at the time that people would stop to watch him. Intrigued, the story of Augustine's conversion, narrated in his Confessions, reveals a moment that would forever change Christian literature. In a garden in Milan, amid tears and anguish, he heard a child's voice singing, "Take and read." Opening the scriptures, he found the exact words he needed, a moment so intimate and universal that it still touches hearts today. Few know that Augustine was also a man of science. In his writings on Genesis, he cautioned against interpreting passages literally if they contradicted proven scientific knowledge, a surprisingly modern view for his time. What impresses most about Augustine is how he turned his struggles into profound theology. His tireless quest for truth led him to write more than 5 million words in his lifetime, a body of work exceeding that of all the other church fathers combined. On his deathbed, as the Vandals besieged his city of Hippo, Augustine asked that penitential psalms be written on the walls of his room. This final gesture shows that even the greatest Christian intellectual recognized that, in the end, we are all pilgrims in need of divine mercy. Chapter 4. The Battles that Defined Our Faith. In a small town called Nicaea in 325 AD, an unprecedented event took place. For the first time, 318 bishops gathered to resolve an issue threatening to divide the entire church. The controversy began with a priest named Arius, who claimed Jesus was not truly God, a belief that spread like wildfire across the empire. Among the attendees was Nicholas of Myra, the same figure who inspired the legend of Santa Claus. It is said that, in a moment of indignation against Arius' heresies, Nicholas slapped the heretic, a gesture that temporarily cost him his position at the council, but illustrates the passion these issues stirred. The debate in Nicaea was so complex that the conciliar fathers had to coin a new Greek word, homoousios, to express that Jesus was of the same substance as the Father. This one word, not found in the Bible, forever changed our understanding of Christ's divinity. Meanwhile, in Constantinople, another battle was unfolding. John Chrysostom, the city's patriarch, faced the wrath of Empress Eudoxia for publicly denouncing the court's luxury. His sermons were so direct that he compared the empress to Jezebel, a boldness that led to his exile. Amid these controversies stood a unique figure, Hilary of Poitiers, known as the Athanasius of the West. Exiled to Phrygia for opposing the Arians, he used the time to study the Greek fathers, becoming a crucial link between the Eastern and Western church traditions. The climax of these theological battles came at the Council of Chalcedon in 451. After intense debates on Christ's nature, the fathers articulated a formula that still amazes with its precision: true God and true man, uniting the divine and human natures of Christ without confusion or separation. Chapter 5. The Hidden Treasure That Left Us. In a hidden library in the Egyptian desert, monk copyists preserved an invaluable treasure, the writings of the Church Fathers. The Didache, the oldest Christian document after the New Testament, was rediscovered in 1873 in a monastery in Constantinople and still reveals how early Christians lived. The surviving texts represent only a fraction of what was written. The Library of Alexandria, which housed thousands of patristic works, was destroyed. Some writings are known only through fragments or citations in other texts, like assembling a puzzle where each found piece is precious. Clement's letter to the Corinthians, written around 96 AD, reveals something surprising. The Church of Rome already exercised authority over other churches even before the last apostle's death. This document is a crucial historical proof of the antiquity of Roman primacy, a fact many are unaware of. The sermons of these fathers were masterpieces. Gregory of Nazianzus, known as the theologian, composed homilies that were simultaneously theological treatises and mystical poems. His description of the Trinitarian mystery as a divine dance has inspired theologians for generations. Their letters exchanged among themselves reveal not only significant theological debates, but also deep friendships. Basil the Great and Gregory of Nazianzus, friends since their student days in Athens, shared letters that are gems of spiritual wisdom and brotherly affection. Jerome, in his cave in Bethlehem, produced what is perhaps the greatest gift from the fathers for future generations, the Latin translation of the Bible, known as the Vulgate. To accomplish this, he learned Hebrew from rabbis, studied ancient manuscripts, and set translation principles still valid today. A fascinating detail, he kept a lion as a pet, which guarded his cave's entrance, a story that has inspired countless medieval artworks. The hands that penned these texts long ago remain, in a sense, alive through the words they left behind. Every time we open their works, we find not just history or theology, but an encounter with masters who dedicated their lives so that the truth of the gospel could reach us. Their battles, doubts, and discoveries form a treasure as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago, and you can be part of this living story. If this content touched your heart and you wish to support this mission of spreading the rich tradition of our church, consider becoming a member of the Catholic Journey channel. As a member, you will have access to exclusive content on the Church Fathers and special materials to help you delve deeper into this treasure of our faith. The link to become a member is in the description below. Together, we can keep alive the flame that these giants of faith ignited.